after I kind of like I got COVID that time, and then after that my immune body is like getting immune system is getting lower, and then
I can see when I do meditation and I feel more calm after I finish the practice. Hello everyone, welcome back to the sixth episode of my MFD Podcast. In my MFD Diet, we aim to bring sustainable dietary health. You see, every time I got it wrong. We aim to bring sustainable, healthy dietary behavior for everyone.
everyone.
Yeah. So today, I'm with Amiru again. So Amiru, where are you now?
Oh, I'm currently in like a very small highland city in Vietnam for work. I'm here just for like 4 days, and tomorrow I'll be going back already. But then we are quite busy as well, right? If we don't record it today, then we might not have time for another day as well. But yeah, I'm happy that we can connect again this time around for another episode 6 already, and we're gonna talk something maybe not so much about diet entirely, but that's what we want to do for our podcast. Just not entirely just talking about diet, but maybe we can just talk about our personal experience, our personal thoughts, our opinions, or whatever things that we can actually discuss. And we are also in plan of making invitation to some people, extending our invitation to people so that we can make the interaction of our podcast more interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if let's say any one of you have any interesting person, or you feel like anyone you know could be a good could be someone very could share with us a lot of interesting story, just feel free to give us a suggestion or just connect us with them. Yeah, we'll be more than happy to invite them for a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So I mean, right now you are in Vietnam. I'm still in Malaysia. So I think that is the good things about technology lah, where
Yeah.
we don't let the distance or geographical barrier to actually stop us from recording.
Mm.
Yep. So in this weekly recording today, we are going to talk about, as you can see on the title itself, right? How do we pivot ourselves in term of, from spiritual, um, mental, and also physically after COVID? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is also relatable to what you mentioned just now. About technology, right? And I
Yeah.
think technology is the time when I mean technology is not the time. I mean what I'm trying to say is that COVID is the time when we see how technology really helped us to connect with everyone,
Yeah.
regardless where they are. And yeah, that's something that I think also related to our topic or our title today.
Yeah. Exactly. I can still remember during that time, Zoom, Google Meet, all the virtual platforms suddenly boom, and
Yeah.
everything, literally everything changed from physical to virtual, and until now it is still happening. Even some
Yeah.
of the conference that we attend, I get to know they are hovering hybrid mode and everything, which I don't think before, even a few years back, this idea actually valid and people actually doing it. Yeah.
Mm, I'm not sure if it is something that it's not valid, or we should like actually call it not valid or something,
Okay.
because in my point of view is that if we talk about technology,
Mm,
I think it's just because of COVID it starts to get very popular. you know it's not like a validation whether it's valid or not valid, because for example, like maybe this kind of like conferences call, I'm very sure that it has been using like for a very long time, especially for like a tech company or for a company that has like a very extensive offices around the world, and I'm sure that this is one of the ways for them to actually connect with all their staff members. It's just that during COVID that we get to know, or we get to the point where, oh, we have to like start to explore this medium, and we start to use it completely, because otherwise we won't be able to work.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think in my point of view it's not about valid or invalid, but it's about COVID is the time when we get to know more about there are several mediums that were created along the way. Yeah, after this big pandemic actually hit the whole world.
Mm. Yeah, okay. I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, because previously I do not really even get to know on this even from consultation, or even they are connect with each other through that, it is not that accessible or well known. But COVID make it everyone have to master this no matter what and how. Yeah. All right. So how is your life after COVID in general?
Oh wow! I think this is a very interesting thing for us to really unfold and talk
Mm,
about it. You know, like how does everything change? Because technically, both of us are the COVID graduate, right? Because when we were in the final year
mm,
in 2020, I think that was the time when COVID first hit, and you know, like everything changed, and then we had to like do our internship online. We have to do the consultation online, and we have to adapt with everything, you know, virtually. And yeah, if you ask me like how does it feels like after COVID, um honestly, one feeling that I have is like a missing feeling of not really having that 2 years of my life. You know, it's like it's not that not doing anything. You know, that there were a lot of things going on
mm,
in that particular 2 years, but I think um they they are there were that was the time where it was my prime years as a young boy, or like as a university student, you know, where we could actually do a lot of things, and
mm.
then we could actually do more social activities with friends physically. But you know, like by the time COVID kind of like
Hit.
starting to slow down,
Okay. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
not hit, starting to slow down, then you know, like we are already at the age where we have to start working. You know, we started to we are starting to learn how to become an adult. You know, like we need to think about ourselves. We need to think about how to find money, how to pay rent, buying a car, you know, like reducing in terms of the social circles as well, because
Mm,
not social circle in terms of friends, because you know, like in terms of the interaction with you know, like the people around us, because everybody is like studying to work, and then they might have actually got married and then have
right.
their children, you know, like
More
those
and
kind of
more
things.
life commitment that they need to,
Exactly.
like, we need to handle after that 2 years when everything.
Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, rather than, you know, like if let's say we could actually have a proper transition, you know, like after you know, university time, and
we
then
graduate. Yeah.
you know, we get to like really do a proper transition when it comes to that physical engagement with people around,
Mm.
then probably it's gonna be different as well. But yeah, I believe in the connect the the dot like
Connecting the
situation.
dots. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's there's always a reason behind every single thing that happens, you know. And yeah, and I think I still remember you were telling me about there's this one cycle. I don't know if you still remember. It's one of the podcasts before that you shared with me. There's this
Mm-hmm.
one cycle of like of life where when there's something bad happen, and then you know, like human will actually adapt to that situation, and then
Mm.
things will become back to normal, and there will be times where you know, like the bad things happen again, and then we will adapt to it, and things become normal, and it is actually just a cycle. Like put it into the situation where it's COVID, right?
Ah,
It was really bad for everyone right around the world.
yeah,
We do
yeah,
not know how to figure this out, you know,
yeah. I
like
remember. Mm-hmm.
how to adapt every single thing. But eventually people came up with like so many ideas, even in dietetics or nutrition
Mm.
perspective, right?
Mm.
Online consultation has been made very much
Booming.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many people actually sign up into online program, or like you know, like people building apps. I even work with you know, like a digital health company before, and how it is really booming during that time,
Mm.
because people really needed it during that time as well. So yeah, I think that's just part of it, that I think how does it make me feel that after COVID itself. Yeah, but what you.
We have this similar conversation before. I feel like the year has been missing for 2 years, but for me, I think a lot of things change in terms of my life. Yeah, because I what I can think of, right, is that when COVID hits during that time, everything, whenever we want to get something new, classes, conferences, information, everything just gone online. And that somehow, I feel like it shaped how me, myself, to get more new information nowadays. Yeah, because previously, probably I will attending workshop, like physical workshop, to learn something. But right now, because of what has happened for during COVID, right now a lot of workshop they are conducting virtually, or in another way, make it accessible. A lot more people know that this method can actually do. Yeah,
Mm.
so I think because recently I was actually trying to figure out some kind of like what we call that, Photoshop, and the how to learn how to use Photoshop, and then actually get to know there's actually online courses that some people make it. So I think that is one of the changes that me currently experiencing. Yeah,
Mm.
and I still remember I don't think it's a podcast that I shared with you last time, but is I think I read it on LinkedIn post. Mm. When we meet something new, we do not know what is it, we will feel afraid, especially about the virus,
Mm.
especially about new things that
Mm.
even that we are facing right now or whatnot. Then we are going to adapt, and the cycle will just continue. Yeah. So do you think, like, right after COVID and after we work for almost 4 years right now, 3 or 4 years into our fourth years, do you think how do you think about your relationship so far with with the people around you? Because just now you mentioned about social circle as well, a little bit about social circle.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um, you mean like in term of relationship with people, whether it's good or bad, or like whether it's getting better? Is that what you're trying to ask
yeah,
me about it?
yeah. How is your relationship with the people around you or within your circle, right? Because during the prime year that you mentioned just now, we somehow do not have the chance to have a proper transition, as in probably
Mm.
can have a very proper goodbye or support each other when we just started our career and things like that physically.
Understand.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to relationship with friends, because of COVID, a lot of my friends, not a lot, like some of my friends also, like when it comes to, example, graduation or like finish their study, it got delayed as well because of COVID, right? So it did not really change much in terms of like whether the relationship is becoming worse or like bad or something. But I think it just got better because we kind of like appreciate the time that we have right now, since like some of us
Mhm.
are not married yet, and then we still have some time to actually spend our time together. So like we always, whenever like I come back to my hometown, I will really just try my best to just like contact my friend, like maybe we can just hang out or something, so that before you got married, and it might be a different, or like another story or situations that's gonna happen, right?
Mm,
But
mm.
yeah, I think in general, when it comes to the relationship, it got better, like after COVID. Yeah. So
Is
that's
there
that's my
any
the situation.
understand? Is there any difference, as in during back then, how you maintain the relationship compared to now? Like
Yeah.
how you maintain your relationship back then during COVID time, especially when everyone cannot meet each other, we rely a lot online. Is it through social media as well, or
Yeah, I think we did, like having some FaceTime or like the meeting online, right?
mm,
But it wasn't like really frequent or something like that. But also I think we went out more frequently after COVID rather than before COVID, because before COVID we were still in university,
mm,
like there are friends who like studied overseas, and then different universities, we are further away from each other. But after COVID, then we actually graduated as well, and then we started working, so we have our own money. We're not. we are no longer depending on our parents
Yeah.
to give us the allowance, for example,
Mm.
and we can meet our friends wherever they are. Example, if they are in KL, if let's say we go to another part of the country, then we can also meet them. So yeah, I think it just got better along the way as well in terms of the changes from the previous before COVID. Yeah.
Do you think it is still better to meet your friend in person rather than just text?
I think it depends on the situation, though. Like for me personally, I have my own social battery as well. I think if I talk about it, few years back in university, I always love to talk to people. I really get energy from talking to people, um, and 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 until to the point where I got really tired, like along the
Mm.
way after you have started working, you have your own social life, and like as you get more matured and as an adult, you probably know that at times you need your personal boundary, like your personal time for yourself, and you just got really tired to talk to people that much, so I think it's at the end of the day just about check and balance, or like, yeah, it's a balance at the end of the day. It's not about making it every single day, but we know that it should happen once in a while, and yeah, I think that's how it works as well.
Understand that. Okay. My situation, you know what? My situation is not, it's quite different from yours actually.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of relationship with friends. Because if I can recall, during COVID time, during that time, my social circle has been, I would say my close friend circle has been quite small since even before, and I do not really contact that much my my friends during, especially during COVID time, because I'm having my own things to do, busy with my work, and a lot more life that is going on, which I don't really spend much time to interact digitally
Mm.
and virtually. But after the COVID start to slow down, in fact, even until now, I was expecting more and more outing will be happening. But
Mm.
how should I put this? Indeed, I go out with friends more, but it is not still as frequent as what I think it should be.
Mm.
Do you get me? Yeah, it is
Yeah.
still once in a while, because moving on to the working life, there will be a lot more things to consider, as what you mentioned. Like
Yeah.
financial is one thing. If you if I do not have enough, um, like maybe at the end of the month I do not have extra money and things like that, going out with friends to spend some money will eventually become one of the concern for me during, I
Understand.
mean, in the first few years of working.
Yeah, I think along the way our priority changed as well. Like
Mm.
back in university, it's all about having friends around. We don't need to think much about money because we have our parents or we have scholarship. But like after we have started working, things change. It's more towards how we need to survive ourselves, and I think it's not easy as growing up as an adult. Seriously, it's like this is something that I think probably that I might actually miss COVID as well, because that was a time when we really can just like be at home, and then we can do a lot of things like watching movies, and I think that was the time when Netflix was getting a lot of like new people join them as well because
Mm.
of COVID. Like people start to binge watching. I still remember I binge watching a lot of like movies because
Movies. Yeah.
yeah, that was the time when we are not bounded to like travel around, like we can't go anywhere. Everything is just online 24/7, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that's some of the thing that like when I reflected back, kind of miss that moment because we do not need to think much about financial or like the time that we spend. Yeah, I mean it's just a different kind of environment. Yeah.
Pros and cons. As in, during that time you got extra things, and right now you might lose something and you still gain something. Yeah.
Exactly.
How about the relationship with yourself? Do you face any struggle, or do you face, like, how is the inner thoughts process going?
I think it is more lonely after COVID.
More lonely after COVID?
Yeah, I think it is more lonely after COVID because I mean, I
Mhm.
can't say this in general for everyone, because we never know how other people are struggling during COVID, right?
Mm,
And at least for me, I'm grateful that, like during COVID, I managed to spend, I think half of the time was actually with my family and half of the time with my friend.
mm,
Because when COVID started, I was still at home, and then after that, I need to move to KL because I started to have a job, and then it requires me to be in KL, and then I started to have some friends. We live together, and we made a lot of like good memories during that time.
mm.
So I think yeah, that was something that I think after COVID is more lonely rather than before COVID. Yeah, because along the way, after 2 or 3 years, everybody has started moving out, and then they got a new job, they got married, and
Mm.
then we started to separate. And I also chose to live by myself. I mean, like not no longer staying in a big house together with a lot of people, but I rather like finding my own place so that I can really have my own personal time. So it's not COVID to be blamed, but maybe it's
Yeah.
just the perfect personal preference actually changed
Yeah.
afterwards, along the way. Yeah.
Mm. It sounds to me is that you choose to spend more time with yourself, and no spending rather than spending a lot of times like before with your friends. Is it?
Yeah, again, I think it's a balance, At
Mm,
the end of the day, it's just a balance towards what we are doing. If we spend too much time with ourselves, then we start to feel very bored and lonely, right? If
mm.
we spend too much our time with our friends, then we started to feel very drained, like a lot of drama sometimes, and there are some things happen around. So yeah, it's a balance at the end of the day for me.
How do you usually achieve this inner? I understand it as like a inner peace for yourself, as in you feel like you have spent a lot of energy and you feel like you want to have some time for yourself, or how do you make it balance?
Um, oh, I actually hired a life coach before, when
Oh.
during COVID.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, because I needed to talk to someone. I needed to talk to someone about my work during that time. I got really stressed. I was put in a position where I need to lead people. So I just thought of like, okay, I do have an extra money, and I thought of like maybe I can hire a life coach
mm,
for me to keep me sane, for me to like lay out my thinking process, because sometimes there are a lot of things lingering into our mind, but
mm,
we did not really talk it out, and I think that's the main problem about the issues that we have. We don't have that mental capacity to store every single information within ourselves. We sometimes need to share the burden to people. It's not that we share the burden to people because we expect people to solve our problem,
mm,
but it's for us to just let it out of our thoughts, Yeah, and that's the role of that coach that I hired, because he helped me to listen to my issues, and then he helped me by asking some questions that helped me to find possibility towards what are the potential solutions that I can find through whatever that I personally shared with him as well. So I think that is something really helped me in terms of mental, and I did not really do any writing or reading yet that time. I actually started writing and reading last year,
mm,
which that's another like different kind of stories that also change in terms of my spiritual, in terms of my mental capacity itself. Yeah, because
mm.
growing up, I'm not really someone who loves to write or reading, but I've read and listened a lot to some podcasts saying that it's very important for us to have this kind of like we call it what, brain food, right?
Mindful
We
or brain food. Yeah.
food, brain food. We have to
Mm-hmm,
keep feeding ourselves with new knowledge or with motivation, positive words, like people saying good things, and that's how we will actually keep going in terms of our mental capacity. Yeah,
mm.
so I think that's how I kind of like be more aware about myself, and yeah, you personally as well inspired me to start
Wow.
writing like a journal. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
yeah. I
gave me a,
remember that.
you don't need to make it fake like wow like that, you were the one who gave me
I
before.
didn't expect this recognition. It's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm seeing, like, just for some context as well. How long have you been starting to write down journal and to do reading? 1 year plus, right?
I think this is uh maybe my second year or something like that. I really do it consistently,
Mm.
and it has changed my life entirely. Like when it comes to the compassion, the self awareness towards my surrounding, the appreciation, the gratitude, relationship with God. I
Wow.
think yeah, journaling and reading, because when it comes to reading, we are not just reading about just business book, for example, not just
Mm.
about like sci-fi or whatever it is, right? But I also read maybe some spiritual book or like religious book, right? And that also give you a lot of different perspective in whatever that they actually shared or write in that particular book. Yeah, so
Do you have
mhm.
any, like, particular example or incident that you, when you said that doing journaling and reading, right, that they change your life? Because it sounds it sounds to me it's very amazing in a way, as in you said
Mm,
it entirely changed your life in terms of,
mm,
like, how does it change your life in terms of, you mentioned about gratitude, like how.
mm. For example, if I find a place very hot, for example, and I sweat a lot, right? Maybe before this I will just complain. Oh man, damn, it's
You
very
will get
hot.
angry.
Yeah, I will get really
Yeah.
uneasy, right? Irritated.
Mm-mm.
But I'm still practicing it. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Um, but nowadays, like whenever I feel hot, for example, I just I just have this one awareness about, oh, just be patient before you get angry. Like it's like one small voice that comes from my, I don't know, from brain or heart or like which part of the body, I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But there's like one awareness, like a small awareness saying that be patient. Yeah, because that relates to my patience, right, towards the surrounding. And yeah, I think it's kind
Surroundings.
of like giving me that kind of awareness, because in the journal itself you can start writing like a gratitude, something that you are grateful for that particular day. So for example, I put one of the gratitude is, um I am grateful for seeing the sun today, for example,
Mm.
right? And that might be a very small and little thing that we forgot to appreciate. Yeah. For example, people living in the Antarctica or something, right? They don't
Had
get
the
this
chance.
chance, yeah, of
Mm.
getting warm, but we got it, right?
Mm.
And yeah, so that's just the way how we start to appreciate very little things around us, and
Mm.
it kind of like integrate into the way how we see things more appreciatively. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do your gratitude usually? Maybe to give the audience some context, as in, you mentioned about gratitude journal and things like that. How do you practice it?
Mr. Shang Shenyi gave me the
It's
gratitude.
okay. You don't need to mention my name anymore. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you gave me last year during New Year, right? This
Mm.
one
Okay.
journal book that you guys can buy anywhere in the bookstore, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It basically give you a proper structure of every day, following the calendar, what are the things that you are feeling grateful for today, your daily gratitudes. And maybe you want to put about, you want to talk about, how do you feel today? You're feeling happy, you have to acknowledge that you are feeling happy. And there are some days you are feeling sad, you have to acknowledge that you're feeling sad. And
Mm.
there are some days that you're feeling stressed, and you have to acknowledge that you are feeling stressed, for example. And that kind of structure that I have every single day, that eventually become a routine. It became something that if I don't do it, it's like something is missing. Yeah. And I think this is just a very good development or evolve that I see within myself, because I used to be that kind of person who I don't care much about this thing. Yeah, because I saw before back in university you have done this a lot, but I know I kind of like rejected this idea because I don't like writing. I don't like commitment.
Mm.
Yeah, but once I started doing it, it's not hard. Yeah, it can, journaling is not necessarily through book. It can be as simple as you. you have your you create your own WhatsApp group,
Mm.
add your own self, and then yeah, you just every single time you thought of something, while there's like one time I was driving my car,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
then I thought of like something, because sometimes when you're driving alone there's always a lot of inspiration, right? And then I will just like uh, record my own voice, and then after that when I come back I listen back and I just write it down. Yeah, there are so many ways for us to actually do journaling.
My God, you know how I feel right now? Because I think this is our first time having this conversation, and
Yeah,
you are. I mean, right now you are a person who will encourage people to do journaling, and because you yourself actually feel the effect of
yeah.
journaling and things like that. Yeah, and just for everyone's what we call that context as well, we will take a break. We'll take a short break, and we'll come back later to talk about how about our physical side. Hello, everyone. So, welcome back to the episode 6 of my Friday podcast. So, Amiru, I have a question for you. And I'm curious, right? How does your, what we call it, COVID change your lifestyle? Or maybe in terms of your food, your routine, your exercise, or anything? How does this COVID change? Is there
It
any?
is actually tremendous though.
Mm,
I get this realization because of COVID as well, and that's how I pivot myself when it comes to physical as well.
mm,
Um, so I was not really active when it comes to exercising or sports back then. I don't really care about my physical health, and things. But since COVID, I started to actually working out, and then starting to take care of my nutrition very, very consciously.
mm.
Yeah, since I also have my degree in dietetics, like I know what to eat healthily, how, whatever it is.
You apply
So
lah. You apply what you learn.
I think so. Yeah.
You do,
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of having that kind of more awareness towards my health, and then also before COVID, my father actually passed away, and he has some liver issues, and we know about genetics, right? How does the impact to me and everything. So I kind of have that kind of what we call that fear. If what if I'm actually getting that, right?
Mm.
And I started to be more aware in terms of my food, in terms of my physical activity, and I started working out during COVID. I also work with a digital health company, and some of my colleagues are also among fitness trainer, and also dietitian and nutritionist.
Mm.
So I work out during COVID, but it always changed along the way. It's like you got very excited. I got I work out for a couple of months, and then I stopped because my routine changed. For
Mm.
example,
Yeah.
there was like period of time where we need to do hybrid. It's like we work from home for like maybe 1 month, and then suddenly they said that the government has allowed us to actually go to the office, right? And then the whole routine actually changed, right? And then I started not to like kind of like leave my workout routine or like my diet routine, and
It's
started
so
not to
hard.
eat really. Yeah, it is really hard.
Yeah.
And then the things keep changing along the way. I moved back to Seremban, and then I changed my job again, yada yada yada. So there are so many things that happen, and it kind of like changed the whole thing along the way. And that's when I realized that I struggled a lot. I struggle a lot when it comes to consistency. Yeah, and I think consistency that has made me not very successful in what I really want to achieve. For example, in terms of being healthy.
Mm.
Yeah, I keep on saying that I want to do this, I want to do that, right? But I never really make it happen consistently. I made it happen, but I did not make it consistently. Yeah, so because of COVID as well, that I had this realization. And then coincidentally, it's not coincident, that very coincident, but I got a new job right now, where my job is right now.
Mm.
It's a full-time remote, and I got to really 100% focus on myself, where I can like control my food, I can cook myself, I can like really commit going for exercises, maybe running or maybe gym, just to make sure that I stay healthy. And I changed my mindset towards, I want to be healthy because I want to look good, or I want to be healthy because I want to live longer, like I want to have a healthy body. And when I changed my, like my mindset towards, I want to make sure that I have a healthy body and mind, I'm able to sleep very easily at night, like having a proper sleep rather than keep thinking about, oh, I have to like wake up early and then sleep late. And then when you wake up, you feel very sluggish. And then
Mhm.
it just doesn't make sense for me to be a human being and need to go through that kind of like situation where where you be too hard on your body, because you're gonna use your body like for a very long time, right?
Mm.
And I think that is when I started to become very very conscious in whatever that I do, in terms of physical, in terms of mental, you know and in terms of nutrition. So yeah, I think that's how it actually changed as well after COVID, when it comes to my physical, nutrition, and mental as well. Yeah.
So right now you want to eat healthy is because of like what? Why?
I Okay, I
Mm.
want to eat healthy because I want to make sure that I can poop every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it sounds very simple, but
Mm.
then I had that one situation before. I had some constipation,
Mm. Mm.
and I know it's because of what? Because I did not take vegetable, and I don't like the feeling of getting constipation.
Mm.
Yeah, and I remember that there was one year, I think somewhere in 2022, I got sick very very easily. After I kind of like I got COVID that time, and then
Mm.
after that my immune body is like getting immune system is getting lower,
Mm.
and then it's very easy for me to fall sick, and I was not really active. But when I started to become more active, maybe my body is kind of like still the same, right? Because it takes a lot of time to actually maybe burn the fats and everything.
Mm.
But at least I feel healthy. Or whenever I feel sick, right, and when I'm not well, it is not that kind of unwell that makes you really like down. You get what I mean? It's like,
What do
even
you
if you're down, it's like when you feel unwell, it's
mm.
not like until you cannot do anything. You can
Okay.
still you can still have some energy. You can still maybe drive, or maybe if let's say you feel really unwell, it's just for one day after you eat some medication or take some medication, and like drink some water and take vitamin C, then you'll be better. And I believe that it's because of my food, and it's because of the physical activity that I have as well.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, right? Because you just now you mentioned the routine is keep changing, and even right now, like right now you are in Vietnam, you are not in Malaysia, and I believe a lot of routine. There's something that the food choices, everything must always be changing, and you are going to travel to different country, sometimes for your work and things like that. How do you make sure the consistency is there in terms of keep yourself physically healthy, make good choices, or eat healthily, things like that?
Mm, I think it's the awareness that I have, and also I'm utilizing all the things that we have lah. For example, I have my smartwatch.
Mm.
I'm not wearing it now, but I have a smartwatch. So my smartwatch will remind me that I'm not active today, right? I did not burn any calories. So that's also one of the ways for me to ensure I actually keep moving, for example. And then when it comes to food, yeah, even if let's say wherever or wherever I go, right,
Mm.
there is healthy food, and there is like food that you can actually choose and you can make that choice. Yeah, it's not something that means that, oh, if I move around, then it's hard for me to actually get vegetable. Everybody eats vegetables, right? It's available in every countries. Yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, it's the mindset or like the awareness that you have, and also you can plan. When you want to go somewhere, you can start understand how's the food there, so that you can actually plan it better, for example.
But sometimes when you go travel, you go to a new place, they will definitely have some food that I wouldn't say is healthy, like in terms of balance. Maybe they are lacking of vegetables, and you are going to a touristic place to visit and
Mm.
things like that. So how do you tell yourself on this thing? Or did you, because I get to know one of my friend, if because he's very concerned about his diet, he will bring salad everywhere he go.
Mm.
Yeah, so are you doing that like that, or how is the mindset telling you when, yeah, you know that is the food that is a must try in the country at that place, but you know it might not be balanced and healthy.
I'm not sure about your question, honestly. But maybe I will just hold into the concept of you eat to live or you live to eat. You know, like if you want to travel and you want to travel to eat, then it's gonna be like that. But for me, I am traveling because, for example, for work.
Mm,
That's once for sure, right?
yeah.
So sometimes I don't have time to really think about that. And another thing is that I want to travel because I want to see the local, how they eat, how they work, like how is their rush hour looks like. So yeah, for me it really depends on the situation. And I wouldn't put that much of stress to myself as well, that oh, you can't do anything, you can't eat anything, you can't try the street food. But it's the awareness that tell you, yeah, you can try the street food, but don't, like overeat it. Don't buy too much, for example, or maybe share with your friends. There are so many things that can be done from there, rather than restrict ourselves so much about it. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I just now you did mention one sentence about there is, or there are healthy food, healthy option everywhere, no matter where you travel. Which I think that part is very true. As in, yeah, I think if I can, I just want to frame that sentence, because a lot of times, if let's say some people they are just travel to eat, just they are just going for the good food, the food, right? Then yeah, they might choose to not thinking about healthy. They might choose to do not to leave that awareness aside, and they just eat and things like that. Yeah, so I like that, the things that you mentioned just now. Yeah.
But in general, how is your situation,
Mm-hmm.
like in terms of your physical as well, in terms of your nutrition, your mental after COVID as well? How did you manage it?
um for me, honestly, I'm still struggling with consistency, with in keeping up in term of the habit. I still do some home cook, but the habit of home cooking is it keep changing, because for example, right after, when I just started my career, I think 2 years back, 3 years back, I almost cook every day. Yeah, because during that time I have plenty of time, and also I'm living with my landlord, so we are almost every day, like I do home cooked dinner. And but after that, I changed my job, and then I come to Kuala Lumpur. So I come to KL. After that, in KL, the habit started to become here and there. During that time, the first 2 years of my career, um, I'm very into exercise. Partly also because there's no much of outing and things like that. Yeah, during the time still consider partially locked down lah. So I have a lot of time for myself to cook and to do exercise. But until now, the habit, as in, keep changing. Yeah, keep changing, as in, sometimes I manage to do it for maybe 1 month. The second month, definitely have 1 or 2 weeks I slack off a bit, because of festival, because of some urgent things, the commitment that I'm ongoing. So I will feel, yeah, it's better not to do it. Mm, yeah, but con bit by bit, I think this habit has still followed me for almost 4 years right now. It's just that I wouldn't say I'm very consistent lah. Mm.
I mean, like, you are too humble about yourself, like you're not consistent. But I think what you should actually share more right now is, in my personal point of view, you,
Mhm.
you should just share more about how is you going through COVID, and how does it change your lifestyle right now, like what is the good thing that you have done. maybe you should share more in that sense rather than being too humble about your struggling, for example. Yeah, because I know you are still consistent doing journaling sometimes, and then you still have your own personal time. You get what I mean? It's like something positive that I believe it worth more for you to share rather than being too humble about yourself.
Understand. Yeah, in term of when you talk about journaling and meditation, yeah, I bought one book for you, and I do have another book. That part, when I do reflection last year, I think I managed to complete. I managed to complete around 60%, 50 to 60% of the journal itself. Managed to jot down to do gratitude journal and meditation lah. If let's say you ask me what is the habit that uh, most consistently practicing up until now, would be meditation. Mm. I enjoy the time of meditate for like 5 to 10 minutes before I sleep. Just plug with some music, and then it gives me a peace of mind in terms of all the pending job. I'll just put it aside, and then I'll go for a rest, and I will come back tomorrow.
What is the difference between doing meditation and not doing meditations that you can actually significantly see the differences?
I can see when I do meditation, and I feel more calm after I finish the practice. But if let's say I'm not doing any meditation, sometimes because it was too late already, finish all the stuff almost around 12 or 1. It's kind of very late, so I don't feel like I want to do. I will just go and sleep. But sometimes I might, all the things might still, going through my mind, and I can't sleep very fast. I
So
might sleep
you struggle with your sleep right now?
sometimes. I would say sometimes.
Is that normal as an adult that we struggle with sleep?
I'm not sure if it is normal, but it. I get to know
Because
a lot.
I'm asking it because I've heard from some of my friends as well that they
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
like these days it's very hard for me to sleep at night. I keep thinking about stuff, and I do have my issues as well sometimes about
Mm,
sleeping, right?
mm, 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 mm.
But yeah, do you think it's something that is common to you or the people around you as well? And how do you actually overcome it?
I think it is getting more and more. I when I get to have more conversation with the people around me, yeah, even you sometimes you face the problem as well. Insomnia or very this kind of sleeping difficulties is getting more and more common. Uh, I'm not sure if it is only for us, or it's actually everyone in different life stages they will have it. And how I deal with it usually, as I mentioned just now, is through meditation. It's just that sometimes, yeah, feeling too tired as in I do not want to spend my time for that. I would rather sleep, but things is still going in my mind that I
Got it.
cannot. Yeah.
So let's move to the last part of our question lah.
Mm,
Something that we have discussed for this topic, right? If we can go back to COVID time, like, it's not something that we are like wishing COVID to come again,
yeah.
but it's just what will you do differently if there is another lockdown? Something that you think I should have done that before, but I did not do it.
So if I can change one thing, or I will do differently, is that I will try to master one more skills, because during COVID time I actually have a lot of free time, and on top of the skill set that I have, I feel like I want to spend more time to actually master some skills. For example, as in like some kind of Photoshop or Illustrator, which I think this is something very valuable for me, or even up until now, it is needed lah. Needed in terms of the career progression that I see myself.
Uh,
Yeah.
but but I mean, you are already good at it, like you can do editing, you can do design, right? And why is it important for you to have that sort of like formal certification or like formal course? Because you have done it since university, and yeah, it's learned by the experience. So why is it something that you think that if there's COVID again, you want to do it, there's something that you should focus.
Because I think the skills that I have, or in terms of the design that I have, is kind of general right now. And when I master these skills, I can actually do a lot more different variation. Yeah, right now what I usually do, we are using template and
Mm.
etc. But what I
Oh
get
no, everybody know we use template.
we use Canva lah basically, but yeah, I mean we can change plug and play over there, but I just do feel like Photoshop as in one of the fundamental for me of in term of graphic design and things like that. So want to go deeper into how can I change those very small details thingy. Yeah.
Understand. That's cool.
Mm. Anything that you will do differently then? If let's say you have this, we have this COVID again.
um I think probably it will be in term of the consistency. Yeah.
Consistency again.
Yeah, because
Okay.
because I imagine if I'm already consistent during that time, maybe I've already very bored right now, like
Okay.
very fit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and maybe when it comes to the consistency itself, it's towards my mental capacity as well. Maybe stronger in term of stress, like going through stress, right? And I think during that time, I kind of give up easily. Oh, I can't do this. I'm so stressed, and oh, I want to change my job. I want to change it to a new job, which I think maybe if I stay longer, then I can get a better position. I can get like a better salary, for example, and then I will be actually learning a lot of things differently as well. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, still, if that's something that I wanted it to happen, if COVID happen again, or like lockdown happen again,
Mm.
it is still like a pros and cons. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
wanted that, um, maybe I wouldn't have what I have right now. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's still at the end, depending on the situation. Yeah. So it's just so hard to say. But yeah, we really hope that COVID won't happens again.
For
Won't
sure.
happen again, and like, there's no more lockdown, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because we do know that there are a lot of people who are actually struggling during COVID, and
Mm.
it has impacted them very badly also after COVID. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, we always have to be grateful for where we are right now, the stability in terms of financial, spiritual, mental, physical, and I think this is how do we actually pivot pula. How do we actually pivot ourselves after COVID? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all for our episode today. And if let's say you have any comments or anything, just feel free to drop us a comment, or you can DM us as well. And yeah, so anything you want to say?
Nope.
No. Okay. So thank you everyone for watching and listening. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.